are up and running. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, you have a good day?
Yeah, very restful.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start with that. We had an inter-squad meet last night, and if you're here on campus, you know that the weather was not ideal for cross-country or for any outside activity. So we were supposed to do, what was a 4K and a 4x4 or something like that around.
It was like a weird DMR around.
Yeah, we had DMR, that's right. We ended up doing a 4 by a mile. So tell me how that went for you.
Well, I was not looking forward to it at all. I woke up, I looked outside, I saw the snow, I said, today I do not want to run at all. I almost slipped going up and down the hill every time. I was like, this is an absolute nightmare. And then, coach makes us go anyway, because that's how he does it. And I got out there, and it really wasn't bad once I started going, because I was last leg. So everyone else had already trampled down the trail and everything, so it was like a nice, clearly marked, like, where to go. Got to avoid all the big puddles and everything. And not a lot of pressure either, which was good. So it ended up being kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm liking these inter-squad meets that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have some sort of competition with everything that's going on, but there's not really a lot of pressure because it's just for fun. It's just for pride with your teammates and going out and having a good time. But yeah, I was surprised because I was the first leg, and we did a few laps, obviously, on warm-up to kind of read where the loop was in terms of the conditions, and there was a lot less traction than I was expecting after. I guess going at race speed will do that, but yeah, I thought it was a good enough race, all things considered, given the conditions. So yeah, it's been we haven't really gotten that lucky with the weather. All three of our meets have been. I guess the first cross country meet that we did was like on our home course. The weather was pretty nice there. But,
a little crisp, but
yeah,
other than that,
all these track workouts and events that we've been doing. It was on the pond yesterday, but still kind of felt like a track meet. The weather hasn't been perfect, so yeah. Well, Josh, to start, usually just ask my guests what brought you to Gordon, and was actually going back and listening to old shows. I want to play something for you here. Okay. This was episode 3 when Joe Tibbles was on the podcast, so listen to this.
I had my guys, Josh Backert, Selvin Backert, who I'm recruiting to Gordon, actually, and Andrew McGovern. We were the all-time 4x4. Oh, we were such a nice 4x4. Not the fastest. Thomas Lingard, Lucas Honahan, Josh Backert, Andrew McGovern. They were the fastest.
So I know you and Tibbles go way back.
Yeah.
But tell me how much of an influence he had, where you first heard of Gordon, what ultimately brought you here.
Well, he was all of the influence in the beginning, because I remember his senior year, he applied, he got in, and then he starts wearing all of his Gordon gear like to practice with our high school team. And we're all like, what is Gordon? Like, I've never heard this before in my life, because we went to a public school, so like wasn't really on the map for anybody. And he was like, yeah, Gordon College, I just got accepted there, going to be running. They gave me all this free stuff, and we were all like, ooh, free stuff. And we're okay, so what division? He was like, D3, and we're all like, nah. Because at that point, we're all shooting to be D1. Our coach wanted us all to be D1. So none of us were really thinking about D3 schools at the time, which is kind of ironic because all of us ended up going to D3 schools. Because after we really got into the college search process, we were like, okay, I can either be a slave to this athletic team for 4 years, or I can go to school, get a good education, and run because I enjoy it and it's fun. So, yeah, but Gordon still really wasn't something I was looking at seriously until last year around Columbus Day, when Joe was like, come on, just overnight, we can hang out, it'll be fun. I was like, okay, I'll do it just because I miss you. I just want to hang. So I come up here, and at that point, there was that quad in Nyland with Steve and Will and Jared and Chase, I think, was a fourth guy in there. I can't say for sure.
Chase Sylvia?
Yeah. And so we all hung out in there, and that was so much fun. That was great. That was a blast. And then, walking around campus, everyone was smiling and nodding, everyone saying hi. And it was so weird. It was like, it was almost scary, like how friendly everyone seemed. Like, I didn't get that at any of the other campuses that I visited. And, you know, like, we got a beautiful campus here because I came in the fall, so all the foliage was popping. And Joe was like, yeah, like, you see it back there by the pond. We've got all kinds of trails and whatever over there. I was like, okay, all right. This place sounds kind of nice. And then he said Weichert is his workouts and his work ethic and everything were a lot like our old high school coach, who I absolutely loved. And so, you know, I met Weichert, talked to him about his program and everything. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see myself coming here. And, you know, I went through my applications with everywhere, visited other places, and Gordon was the one.
What other schools did you look at?
So I looked at the University of Hartford, but it was interesting because my, like, peak recruiting season, like, junior year track, got nerfed because right before, divisionals were on Saturday, and that's, like, the first, like, big meet that all the recruiters show up to. Divisionals were on Saturday, and on Thursday, I absolutely blew out my hamstring. Was out for the rest of the season, no divs, no states, no natties, nothing. So I didn't really, like, get on the map for any of these people until last year indoor, senior year. But so because of that, I was, like, kind of stuck picking and choosing from the people who had already expressed interest. So that was University of Hartford, but I did not like what I saw there at all. Like, they were D1 in name only. Like, we could thrash them. And they weren't going to give me any scholarship money either, which was, like, the big pull of D1 schools versus D3. And where else did I look? Bucknell, but I was like, nah, that's middle of nowhere, way too far. Not really about it, because I knew I wanted to stay kind of in the area. Suffolk was actually my number 2. My brother's there right now. They got a good program going. They're building like we are. But in the end, between city or, like, a real campus like we have here, I wanted, like more of the quote-unquote college experience, you know, because they don't really have a campus there. They're just, like, a bunch of buildings in downtown. And that was about it. That was all the schools I was looking at seriously.
Sure. So, in terms of your track career, I know you're a phenomenal 400 runner. Mm-hmm. I know you're going to be gunning for that school record.
Oh, yes.
Actually, I guess technically, do you have it already? Because, I mean, it's sort of, I guess it counts, right? Because
not really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have the time. I just haven't run it.
Yeah. Well, we know you can get it, and when we have an official meet, it
I'll
should
be
be
there.
yours. Sure. But yeah, tell me how your career in the sport got started.
So, my town's really big on track. So we've got 6 elementary schools that feed into 2 middle schools that go into the 1 high school, and the 2 middle schools have this big rivalry, right? So the coach at my middle school would go to every elementary school that fed into his school, and he would be like, all right, he'd go to each of the gym teachers, and he'd be like, all right, we're gonna hold a track meet for the 5th graders, just, like, introduce them to the sport so they can see what's up, because I didn't even know what track was up to that point, you know, because it wasn't something that is, like, on TV all the time or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, I'm fast, because, you know, played a bunch of tag on the playground or whatever, so I'll do this. So I did the 100-meter dash there. That was a lot of fun. I was like, okay, like, I really like this racing business. So I did track in middle school. Ended up doing cross country as well, just because my brother's more of a distance guy than I am, and he really wanted to do it, but if he did it, that meant I had to do it, because we were, like, inseparable at that point. Like, we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything separately. And so then my 8th grade year, because I was still a 100-meter runner up to that point. Then my 8th grade year, I decided to actually try in cross country for the first time, and I was all right. You know, like, right smack in the middle of the team. But, you know, relative to the other sprinters, I was fast. So my coach said, okay, and in outdoor, you're doing the 400. I was like, no, not the 400, coach. A whole lap? It's so far, I could never. And then I did it, and I was good at it, and I liked it. And I've just been getting stretched out ever since. Like, in high school, my coach saw me, he was like, all right, I'm going to make you an 800 runner. So more stretching, more pulling, and then last year I finally figured out how to run it my way. You know, because I'm not good at pacing at all.
Yeah, well, neither am I. That's something I still struggle with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the 400's your main event, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I consider myself a mid-distance runner. So like 8 and 15 are my specialties. But yeah, I had the opportunity to do a few 4x4s my sophomore year, and it's a tough race, man, because it's like, I think the science behind it's like the human body can only like all-out sprint for like 250 or 300 meters. So you can't treat it like an all-out race, but at the same time you had absolutely no time to just sit back and fall into a rhythm because the race is going to be over. So what's your strategy when you run a 400? Like how do you approach it?
Well, I used to have this mindset where you go out fast for the first 100, 150 or so, and then you float and maintain that on the backstretch, and then really crank it in with the arms once you're like halfway around the second curve, right? And that worked out okay, but now I don't like consciously think about it, like the gun goes off and I just get boogieing. So I don't know, I wouldn't say that I have like a strategy per se, just like I run it the way I'm used to,
Yeah, sure. So I know our show with Tibbles last year was one of the most popular ones we did.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of great stories, and when we're on the air with Scout Radio, we have an hour time limit. So, I've been wanting to actually see if we can get him back on this semester. I want to give priority to people who haven't been on yet, but, I'm sure being teammates with him, you've got some stories to tell as well. So, what are some of the highlights from your time running with him and running before you came here to Gordon?
Well, Joe he was a lot slower in high school, and he was more of like a 200 guy back then. So like, when he started doing cross here, and he was like, yeah, I ran 1830 like 5K in my 8K. We're all like, what? Joe? Is this the same guy? Because at that point, 1830 was my straight up PR in a 5K. And I was like, Joe, who I used to be able to like whoop in a mile, is now like tying my time and then going for 3K more. So that really blew my mind. Because when he was with us, it was like the three guys that he mentioned, me, Selvin, Andrew, and then in the second group, it was Joe and all the other guys. And yeah, that was just incredible to us that he like popped off so much. But we had a lot of fun. Andrew, he has a minivan, right? And we called it the bus because he would just drive everyone everywhere. And he modified that thing like nobody's business. Like he took all the seats out in the back. He had a hammock strung up in the back of the van. He put some new rims on it, and these were absolutely like so nice, like super shiny, super fresh, and the rest of his car just looks like a hot mess because it's like 03, so it's like only a year younger than I am, He set up this like collapsible table that he could put in between all the seats so that we could just eat in there. He had a pulley system that would like cart a bucket of snacks back and forth up the length of the thing.
This is just a minivan? Or?
Yeah. This dude is absolutely crazy. So he rigged it all up himself.
He said a hammock. I'm thinking, well, how much room is left for anything?
I know,
at that
right?
Point? Yeah,
But he made it work. So we would be in the bus all the time, going places. And he had hurdles in there at one point, especially after Corona hit, because we couldn't get access to our track anymore. So coach just slipped in the keys on the sly. He loaded a bunch of hurdles in the back, and then he went around and delivered them to anyone who still wanted to do hurdle drills and whatnot.
So are you a hurdler as well?
Technically.
Yeah.
My freshman year, our assistant coach at the time just threw freshmen at every event and saw what stuck.
Sure.
And I was tall, so I was all right getting over a hurdle, and I had that 400 speed, so I was one of our 400 hurdlers for the next 4 years, and I did triple jump, but Weichert can't know about that. Never triple jumping again.
Why not?
Absolutely hated it. Just murder on the knees, and I never really got any real coaching. Like I didn't practice it at all during the week. I would just show up to the meet, and then coach would like throw pointers at me then. So I never really considered it like an event, just like something I had to show up and do. Not a fan.
But would you consider jumping at all in a different event?
Well, I tried high jump in middle school, but
you got some height.
Yeah, just the bounce is not there. Like, I got beat by the girls' team, so that was a flop. And my long jump is only like 15 feet.
Okay, I'm not a jumper, so I don't
know. I don't know how it works out, but triple jump's the only one that I was like okay at.
Yeah. So, what kind of goals do you have for your career here? I'm hopeful that you guys are going to get to have some sort of competition season for track.
Me too.
But, even if you don't, you're still going to have 3 full years to continue to put the work in and grow in your speed and whatever else you choose to do. Obviously, you want the 400 record.
Yep.
But, what else do you want to accomplish here on either the cross country or track side?
I want to take a shot at that 800 record too.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah, if we what is it, like 156? Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, guy named Marty Maloney has the 8 and 15. Yeah.
His 400 like blows my mind. Like he runs a 156 and then a 54. Like the math just doesn't work out to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But so I want to take a shot at that 800 record too. Definitely want to compete indoors, because my whole high school career, my coach, because he ran at URI.
The Division I 600 champion, Joshua. Talk to the audience. What got you here?
I'd say my coach, Stephen McKenna II, has been a great influence to me personally and to our team as a whole. He's the reason that our mid-distance program is such a powerhouse.
And so his whole thing was that, especially in indoor, his whole thing was that, no one runs a 600 in college. Like, it's all about the 500. The 500 is what you got to be focusing on in the future. And then, I haven't heard of anyone who runs a 500, but like I still want to give that a shot, just to see if it's everything that Coach hyped it up to be. I know we're gonna get a nice 4x4 and a real good-looking 4x8 too.
Yeah, that 4x8 record is, no disrespect to the guys who currently hold it, but an 839, like a 210.
Wait, it's 839?
It's 839.
Oh.
It's like a 210, because like we were talking with just amongst us a couple years ago. It's like I did a 215 in a SMR, and we actually broke the record at a meet a couple of years ago, and I ran the 800 leg in that. So I did a 215 there. That's the best I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
We had a guy who could do like 204, 205. He's no longer here, but they thought Philip was getting close to 210. He was right there in his training, and thought we just get one more guy, like we might have a shot at the record.
Yeah.
And like I don't consider myself an elite runner by any means, but it's one of those ones where it's like it's certainly within reach. And then look at the freshman team that we got this year.
Yeah, that's right there. Because
I don't know what the 4x4 record is off the top of my head, but the 4x8 for sure.
Probably. I think it's like 329.
Sounds right.
Do we have any way of looking that up?
Yeah, I can pull it up quickly. But
yeah, because 800 is definitely within reach then, because I can do like 158-ish. Cravens can go sub 2. Cam's like 05, and he can definitely go faster than that in track season. And then, fourth spot up for grabs. Evan Page, Zach Smith.
Yeah. Trying to think of what Evan did. Evan did I think it was just under 210. We only had one indoor meet last year because COVID hit. But,
yeah.
The 4x4 record is 327 outdoor and 337 indoor.
Oh, yeah. Both of those in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like running indoors?
Yes. So much.
Even more than outdoors, or?
I don't know.
Because I would much rather be outdoors. Just speaking personally, like because we usually end up doing at least one a year, because Wesleyan is almost always indoors because it's very early. It's right after spring break. There's usually been weather or snow or something that's gone through.
Is that just at Wesleyan or like against them as well?
At Wesleyan, yeah. So that meet has consistently had to be moved. I think my sophomore year it was outdoors for the first time in a few years. But I just like it. I find it harder to breathe, and the track's only half the size, so you got more laps to keep track of, and it's just, I don't know. I'd rather be outdoors when I can, but why do you like the indoors?
A lot of it, like, there's just a lot more crowd involvement. Like, have you ever been at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston?
I don't think so.
So that's a really weird facility because they hold a lot of high school meets there, but they also hold pro meets there. And when they have a high school meet, all the bleachers are out, and they only turn on like half the lights, so you can see, but it's like kind of dim in there. The air is notoriously bad. Like, it really just burns the back of your throat. Yeah. But so that's great because everyone has to be there. Like you're in a small building. Like, you're either in the stands or you're competing. So that's cool to like have people like actually watching and engaged. And then when they have pro meets in there, it's incredible. Like, they clear everything out of the infield. They pull back the bleachers. They turn all the lights on. They have the air filtration actually going. It's just a whole different Reggie. Like that. Yeah. I've been able to run at a couple of pro meets there, and that, yeah, it's something else. But just I really love the crowd for indoors, and also like running on a banked track just feels so fast.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, so like I said, that was the only meet that we got to do last year, but I think coaches tried to plan, and obviously everything's still very much up in the air because of the current situation, but if we could try to get more indoor meets in like the January, February months, because even just from a competition standpoint, like to have, like, you think with cross country, like we have our preseason and then we have about a week in school and then we have our first race. Mm-hmm. There's not really a lot of time to get your foundation in before you have to jump right into competition. Whereas in track, the past couple of years we've come back the second or third week in January and then had 2 full months of training, and then we go into our first race. Yeah. So to have some indoor meets before outdoor season begins, I think for everybody would be beneficial. But for the people that want to go for the indoor records especially, I'm hopeful that once things kind of get back to normal, you guys will have more opportunities to do that. I think Coach is working on planning those, so gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah. I miss indoor.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other track stories you want to tell? Otherwise, we can move on to some academic stuff or anything else.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the people, who typically listens to this?
Teammates. And I don't know. I share it on my social media, so.
Did Zach talk at all about the beef that Lexington and Glastonbury have?
I don't think so.
Oh boy, this is one of my favorite stories. So, in I think it was January, like late January of last year, our 4x8 went to the Millrose games down in New York at the Armory.
Yeah.
And so we show up, and this was when this was after we'd broken our school record for the first time. We were like, okay, we can go faster than this. This is a really fast meet. It's a lot of really high level teams here. So we're gonna break our own record. We're gonna do it again, and we're like, we might even win the meet, So we show up, we're fired up, we're ready to go, and our team was my brother Selvin, who passed off to Evan, who was our little baby. He's a current junior, and then Evan passed off to me, and then I passed off to Andrew. But Selvin was sick, as he gets sick every winter. His immune system just is not there. And the last time Selvin was sick and we tried to race him at the Armory, he absolutely crapped a bed. It was terrible to witness. Like, my parents thought that he'd gotten injured. That's how slow he was going. So we subbed him out with one of our fast 2-mile guys who could put up a good 800, but he was like the Lexington equivalent to Palmer. Sweetest kid you ever saw. And so the gun goes off. Everyone's getting out there. Our guy's struggling because he's not really one for throwing bows or anything. Our guy's struggling. He's getting pushed out the back a little bit, and then our friend from Glastonbury comes along. They're in the middle of the hustle, and it probably wasn't deliberate, but either way, the elbow pops out, right into my guy's hand. The baton goes down. He doesn't even realize for a couple steps. He keeps on running. He realizes the baton's out of his hand. He has to go back, pick it up, try and get back in the race. But at that point, everyone's got 20 meters on him, and the gap's only getting bigger. Because, you have to, like, stop like that mid-race. It just throws you off mentally, physically. You're no longer in the flow of things. It was a whole mess. And, we tried to hang in there, but the place was not there that day. And so, we're going back. We're looking at the video as the meet's broadcasted, and we see it. We see the elbow, and we're like, where's this guy from? Glastonbury, Connecticut. So the next month was just all jokes about how we were gonna burn down Glastonbury and get revenge. And as a lot of things go, the jokes got more and more serious as time went on. And this was around the same point that I was getting put in group chats and stuff for Gordon. And I see this Zach Smith kid, and one of them is from Connecticut, and he runs. And I was like, okay, that's cool. We're going to be on the same team. Follows me on Instagram. I'm scrolling through his Instagram, and there it is. Glastonbury, Connecticut. And I'm losing my mind right now, because, what are the odds? So I'm flipping out. I'm texting my boys. I text Zach, are you from Glastonbury? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, oh my gosh. We start talking about the 4x8. It turns out Zach wasn't in that one, but his two brothers, Jacob and Ryan, were. So I'm losing my mind over here. And then we find out that they're also going to be going to our New England's meet. So we're going to have a rematch. And so the boys are all getting fired up. Evan was by far the most heated about it. So we get there. We're on the line with them. We see Jacob. We see Ryan. We see their two other guys. Zach wasn't there. I forget why. But they're on the line, and Evan and I think it was Ryan are right next to each other. Evan he's a skinny guy, more distance oriented, but he's got some foot speed. So he's a skinny little sophomore at the time. He elbows Ryan in the ribs while they're on the line. Ryan looks at him. Evan just goes, I've got my eyes on you kind of thing. Just psych him out. And yeah, ran the race, won, had our vengeance. Good times.
Sounds good. But no bad blood between you and Zach anymore.
I mean, It comes up every now and then, but same team now. We're all good.
Yeah. Well, and I guess he wasn't even there, so it's not really. Yeah. Well, so tell me a little bit about the academic side of your time here at Gordon. I know obviously you're a freshman, so you still got a lot of time to decide what you want to do. But have you settled on a major yet?
Yes, English.
English. Okay, that's actually my minor. So, nice. Yeah. Why English?
Well, I thought about psychology or sociology for a while. And then I took a psych class in high school, and I was like, do I really like this? I could see myself pursuing a major in it, but I was like, is this something that I really enjoy, And then I thought about what is it that I do enjoy, and I was like, okay, reading. I love to read. I love stories, and I took a creative writing class that same year, and I absolutely loved that. Up to that point, my English teachers were like, yeah, you're a pretty good writer, and I was like, I don't like it at all, because it was all analytical essays and whatever. But creative writing was actually fun. I was like, okay, writing can be kind of cool. So, like writing, like reading, English major.
Yeah, that sounds good. Me being a communications guy, but wanting to go into journalism when I first got here, I thought English would be a nice second part of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was gonna with running and everything else that I wanted to do have time to double major. And now looking back that I'm on track to graduate a semester early, I guess I could have if I wanted to. But yeah, it's a good program here. What kind of classes are you taking right now?
Right now I'm in narrative theory with Logeman, and
okay. That's is that 202 or 203?
03, I think.
Okay, so you're. Well, actually, I guess is that only a quad class?
Yeah,
right, that's still how they do it. Yeah,
I did poetry and poetics before that.
Right.
That was 202.
Okay. That was Stutz or.
Harkaway for
okay.
poetry and poetics.
All right. Yeah. So those are the entry level courses. I guess that works the same for for the major as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, how about core classes? What else are you taking right now?
I'm in TGC and historical perspectives and environmental science.
Nice. So, obviously, you mentioned you like writing. What do you see yourself doing as a career? Like, what do you want to do with, assuming you stick with English language and literature?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that?
I'd like to be an editor for a publishing company, because that way I can have my fingers in the pie, so to speak, and like kind of like steer the path of a story, but I don't have to you know, devote my life to a novel or anything. Because, yeah, like I don't know. Like, being an author sounds cool, but I don't know if I have like the ideas and the dedication and the world building ability to like put it together a story that's wholly my own, you know.
Yeah. Well, when you say creative writing, are you talking like fiction, nonfiction, poetry? Fiction.
Yeah, big fiction guy. Nonfiction is a lot. Like, I can read nonfiction, but it's a lot iffier to me, you know.
Sure.
Because like it has to be really good to like suck me in.
Yeah. Or it has to be a topic that you're already passionate about. You want to learn more. Yeah. Yeah. So what genres do you enjoy? I mean, I assume you, if you're a fiction guy, you enjoy reading a lot of it.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you enjoy to read?
A lot of fantasy and a lot of sci-fi stuff as well. Do you know Brandon Sanderson?
I don't think so.
Absolutely love him. He's like one of my favorite authors. He writes like his stuff tends to be like heftier, but so good. Such incredible world building. Like I really just don't know how he does it. So I was actually talking with Abby Bear about him last night, because we both enjoy one of his series, the Stormlight Archives, which he's like halfway through right now. And those phenomenal books. Best character development that I've ever read.
Yeah. I guess I can just ask, like, where did this passion for writing and where did that come from for you? What are kind of your first memories of being exposed to the world of literature?
Well, my mom's an OT, so she was super involved in like our early education, because like she was working with kids. She would like try stuff out on us to see if it would like help out with the kids that she was working with and whatnot. And we got all kinds of like workbooks and whatever, like, you know, jump start. And I remember absolutely hating those, like having to like write out my letters and on the lines with the stencils and everything. But that also got me reading a bit earlier than a lot of the kids in my class. And once I could read on my own, I absolutely loved it, because my mom would read me stories, and I enjoyed the stories, but I just hated her read aloud voice. Because, you know how like you talk and that's like one thing, but if you're reading a story aloud, especially to like kids, like you change your voice and you like make it sound like more friendly or whatever. And just I was like, you're not my mother. Like when I heard her read aloud voice. So the second that I could read on my own, I was right there with it. And I remember in first grade, I was reading, I don't even remember what book it was, but my first grade teacher was like, you can't be reading that. I was like, why? And she was like, well, you don't understand any of it. And she brings it up with my teachers at the parent-teacher conference. And she's like, yeah, like you gotta stop giving him these big books, like he's not understanding any of it. And my mom got heated. She was like, how do you know he's not understanding anything? Have you asked him any questions? And the teacher's like, well, no, I just know he's not understanding. So next thing I know, I'm getting dragged home. My mom's asking me all these like comprehension questions about the book, and I'm like, why are you so interested? But I'm answering everything. And she's checking, and I'm getting like most of it right. She was like, okay, you're good. And she gives me my book back, and I was like, okay, fine. Because I didn't understand what was going on at the time. But, yeah, my mother still hates that teacher to this day. Because she felt like she was holding me back or whatever. But, yeah, I always had my nose in a book when I was younger. Like, I didn't learn anything in my 6th grade Spanish class because it bored me. So I'd always had a book under the table. I'm pretty sure I still hold the record at my middle school for like most books checked out in a year, because like that was my routine. I would get to school, I would return my books, I would go do school. At the end of school, I would go back to the library, check out more books.
That's
Rinse
awesome.
and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, so got a little bit of time left here. I've known him for a couple months now, but I still don't really know like what outside of the team. What do you enjoy doing? So I know I asked right before we came on if you followed sports professionally, and you said not really. No. Why not? In the Boston area, sports pretty big up here.
Yeah. I don't know, a lot of it is just the rules and everything. Like I've always had like a difficult time like wrapping my head around that kind of stuff. Like you know wall ball? It took me like 3 years to figure out wall ball. It's like one of the most simple games out there. Like I just couldn't get a handle on it. And there's the fact that I don't really consider myself an athlete, you know? Like I'm physically fit, but I'm not athletic. Like if you throw a ball at me, odds are I'm dodging or trying to.
Well, that's more like just hand-eye coordination, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
none of it. And my depth perception's wacky too. Like if I do ever watch like NBA or whatever, I'll be like, oh, that's going in, and it's just a mile wide. You know, I just can't really like judge where it's going.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't sell yourself short here. I mean, track and field is part of some of the greatest athletes in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fastest and the strongest when it comes to throwing and everything. So I guess you don't watch much ESPN probably. Max Kellerman got a lot of negative attention because he went on First Take one day and basically said that track and field athletes are failed football and basketball players who have no hand-eye coordination and therefore aren't as good of an athlete if you were to rank them. And it just was, it was not a very popular take, to say the least. But yeah, so I guess did you? So you probably didn't really play like basketball in middle school or anything like that.
Like when I was a kid, my parents like put me in pretty much everything. Like I tried ice skating, I tried swimming, I tried soccer, I tried baseball, I tried karate. Karate stuck, which was good. Did that for 10 years. But everything else, was not for me. Football I might have done, but never got the chance because my mom was too afraid I'd take a knock to the head and end up, catatonic.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of mixed opinions and concern with especially starting kids in football at that young age.
Yeah.
The issue of whether you want to let them play tackle or not, and even in the NFL, the concussion issue has just gotten a lot worse over the last few years. I don't know if I should say worse because I guess it's always been there, but there's been a lot more attention devoted to it and the protocols. You used to hear stories of athletes back in the day like only missing a few days of workouts and everything before they try to rush back, and like you couldn't do it if you wanted to now because everybody's so careful because we know the long-term effects and everything. But yeah, so I guess not much of a sports guy, but obviously you mentioned your love for literature and reading. But what else do you do for entertainment? Any other hobbies you have or anything like that?
Not really. I run, I read, watch Netflix.
Okay, that's
it takes up my time.
What do you like on Netflix?
I think I'm watching The Vampire Diaries right now.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. I like a lot of like cheesier stuff and like rom-coms. Like I really just gets me. This isn't on Netflix, I don't think, but I watched Teen Wolf as well. What else? Oh, that I'm blanking. I think it was on CBS. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
ABC. Yeah,
ABC.
Marvel's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that show.
Yes.
That was really good. I don't think I ever ended up finishing it though.
Yeah. Well, I just got into Marvel like about a year and a half ago, like the whole MCU. So like just trying to stay on top of the movies was a long task for me because there are 23 movies. So to try to, because I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is connected. It's like I guess technically you could say it's MCU canon. But yeah, 7 seasons. It's like that's gonna take me a long time. So I need to sit down and actually start it.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. I'm a little confused as to why that's. I mean, I guess Disney Plus hasn't been around for that long, but it's an ABC entity with obviously Marvel being under Disney. I wonder if Disney Plus is ever gonna
push
forward to. Yeah, well, because I mean, a lot of the newer Marvel movies would always go on Netflix, and Solo was on Netflix for a while at least. I don't know about any of the other Star Wars movies, but Disney Plus continues to grow, and they just don't renew the contracts because they bring it on to Disney Plus. But that's a frustrating thing for me, is I felt like the whole point of Netflix was to have everything in one place.
Yeah, and now you got all these other
everybody
platforms.
starts cord cutting, and now it's streaming's a new big thing. So CBS does their CBS All Access, which is going to become Paramount Plus now, and the ABC, Disney has their own, and NBC just launched Peacock this summer. And obviously you still have Hulu and Apple TV and a bunch of others. So it's still like you think about trying to pay for all these services. I guess you still save a little bit if you want to have a premium cable package, but in terms of live TV, live cable, it'll be interesting to see how the landscape shifts in the next few years, because I think more and more people are starting to move away from these massive cable packages, and no matter how many streaming services you have, you're still saving money, and there's a lot of entertainment options.
Yeah, my family just got off cable 2 years ago. Because we were like, we have Netflix, like, we're good.
Well, and the whole, the idea of binging old shows too is like I like looking at TV ratings and everything, and I go back and I look at shows like just 10 years ago that got like 6, 7, 8 million views in prime time on one of the major networks, and they didn't last more than one season. And I'm thinking to myself, like, those numbers didn't get a renewal? 7 million people? But then I realized, Netflix, that was, Blockbuster was still around, and Netflix was a mailing service where they mailed you the physical DVDs. Like that, everything was completely different, even though it's only been a short time. But nowadays, it's like there are shows that get just over 2 million that can kind of skate by and get renewed, as long as the budgets aren't super expensive for producing them. But now, especially, I think kind of our generation, The Office and Friends, two very popular ones that were kind of before our time, or maybe they overlapped a little bit. So to go back and watch those old shows, if we're in the middle of those, do we really have time to try to keep up with shows that are being released once a week?
True.
On network. So it's an interesting thing to look at, how that's going to continue to shift. But all right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Been wanting to get you on for a few weeks now, and I'm liking this what we're doing this semester. I've been saying on the last couple shows, I wish we could have gotten started sooner. But the whole thing with Scout Radio, it's unfortunate that we never really got that up and running this semester. But I'm liking coming into the office here and bringing teammates in and other people and just sitting down and having a conversation. It feels very laid back, and
I see why people like working in here too. It's a nice, cozy area.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, it's Coach's office isn't where you'd expect it to be. It's kind of just tucked away, and I gotta imagine that's nice for him, to be able to get work done here. But yeah, man, thanks again, and best of luck the rest of your season and the rest of your career here. And I'll keep an eye out for you, because I enjoy. I'm better at acquiring books than reading them, and I'm more of a nonfiction guy. But we'll see. Maybe down the road we'll see your name on a editor's list or something like that.
I hope.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go. Have a great rest of your night.
Great. Thanks for having me.